Hi everybody, it's Joe Cioffi, 6 o'clock live stream time here on YouTube, and thanks very much for being here. Kind of at the end of my shift, so my energy level is a bit on the low side at the moment. Kind of a long day, and I still have a drive back. I'm not where I usually am. You'll notice the background is a little different. I'm actually at my mom's house up in Westchester County, so just stopping in after my workday is done, and figured that this would be a good time to get the live stream going. So let's just go over a couple of things we're going to talk about. Of course, is the solar eclipse. I'm going to start off with that. Then we're going to take a look at the tropics, which is a real mess in a lot of ways. And I mean, from a forecast standpoint, there's just so much going on with Hurricane Gert. Now winds up to 80 miles an hour on the new advisory. And we have three tropical systems, three tropical waves, one about halfway across, one about a quarter of the way across, and one getting ready to move off the African coast. And the problem is that all the three global models, the European, the Canadian, and the GFS, they all kind of emphasize a different system. And we're really not going to have any good clue as to which model or if any of the models have a real good handle on how this is all going to play out. Any one of those three systems could wind up becoming a tropical storm or even a hurricane. On the other hand, also, you could have a scenario where all three systems develop, but they stay rather weak, or is it 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3, or maybe none of the above. Really hard to know. We are going to be talking about the ridge in the Atlantic, which I think is going to be key to all this. And different models have various weaknesses in that ridge along the way across the Atlantic. So we could speculate all day long about which weakness is the right one and which isn't. And there's too many other things going on upstream with the jet stream across the northern part of the United States and also out in the North Atlantic. That actually creates one of the weaknesses that lasts for a couple of days. Some models react to that weakness by taking one of those tropical waves to the northwest, north, and out. Others react differently. It is just too much. So let's take a look. We're gonna go ahead and roll on with that. Come back at the end. There'll be a chat. And by the way, if you replay this video, or if you are seeing it not on the live stream, but coming out of the video library, at the very end, you may see a button come up with a man fishing. That's me. If you click on that button, that will let you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that would be great. And you'll get notifications when new videos come on and when live streams come on. And I'm doing my self-promotion early, okay? So hang on one second, and we'll switch. Okay, we're going to start off with the latest on the solar eclipse, which we know is on this coming Monday, August 21st, in the early to middle part of the afternoon in the east. And of course, depending on your time zone, it comes back a little earlier than that. The countdown clock is on at the weather.gov website where you can find this. And we're going to take a look at just a couple of interesting maps with respect to forecasts. And one of the things that's available on the National Weather Service's graphical forecast map is you can pull up their early forecast for percentage sky cover for 2 in the afternoon Eastern time on August 21st. Now, bear in mind that this was issued at 2 a.m. Eastern time on August 15th. So this is going to change. You can link from the your local National Weather Service forecast page to these digital forecasts and graphical sites to see the percentage of cloud cover expected. It is probably not the most accurate to look at, but at least it'll give you an idea of how this is going to play out. Now, with regards to the actual weather, I just want to punch up the U.S. on today's model run. And we'll jump over to next Monday. And here we go. This is Monday afternoon. And I mean, judging from the surface map and from what I saw from the upper air conditions, I would think the best, there might be a shot for some clearer skies in the Northeast, although it's very difficult to have cloud-free conditions in this part of the country any time of year. It's rare that you have a cloud-free day from beginning to end. The best chances of that still remain probably up in the West. Nebraska might be your best chance here, and also in parts of the Pacific Northwest, it seems, and then dropping down into parts of Southern California. But of course, the main issue is going to be that path of totality and that arc that you can draw from Portland, Oregon, right in here to about. Whoops, let me just try that again. Finger just kind of went off a little bit, but there we go. Something like this with respect to the path of totality. So I still would think that your best chances for cloud-free skies will be in the West, probably right up in this area, maybe in here away from the coast. You'll have a shot. As far as this area is concerned, particularly in that very tight band where you're going to have that total eclipse, I think there's a high probability that you're going to see some cloud cover there in those areas. So we'll continue to take a look at this as each day passes and we get closer. But I think by the weekend we'll have a pretty good of an idea as to who's going to have clearer skies. So let's jump now over to the tropics, where we have a pretty busy tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center. Of course, we have Hurricane Gert. We have 3 tropical waves that we're looking at, and we'll start with Hurricane Gert, which is halfway between the Carolinas and Bermuda. You can see on the loop this afternoon the eye kind of coming and going. It's there, it disappears, and it looks like it might be trying to come back again. So we seem to be having some sort of fluctuation in strength. Still has time to gain a little bit more strength, but again, the main impact with this will be the surf along the couple of days. So we're going to now take a look at the next 2 waves. Here's the first wave, which is sitting at about 45 degrees west, and then there's the second one behind it. I think they both don't look that bad this morning in terms of structure. I think the second wave looks a bit better than the first in terms of its satellite presentation, and they are both moving right along to the west. So here's your lead wave at 45 degrees west. It's a little bit of a concentration of thunderstorms here, but we don't really see any turning going on. Not really seeing, there's a little bit of cirrus outflow that's starting here, but we'll have to watch to see what it does as it continues its track westward. It has time to develop as it heads toward the Lesser Antilles. And then we have wave number 2, for which I have a different satellite view for that. So let me go to that one. You can pick it out. Here's the back edge of wave number 1 on this enhanced satellite view. Here's wave number 2 that's behind it, that has a fairly large envelope of showers and thunderstorms. And this is the third wave that is just now beginning to move off the African coast. You can see it right here. So the Hurricane Center is rating the probabilities for each one: 40% in the next 5 days for the lead 2, 20% in the next 5 for the third. Now remember, there's only so much room in the atmosphere for things to happen, so we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. It's very complicated in terms of the overall pattern here. Here's, again, that tighter view of that first wave. And when we look at the water vapor imagery this afternoon, we still have a lot of dry air, but it does at least seem that the tropical waves are kind of in their own little world there, with a moist atmosphere from the African coast out to about 50 degrees west. So we'll see if that moist atmosphere holds as it goes westward, and if something does try to develop, whether any of this dry air winds up getting involved. Of course, you've got Gert here, and in the meantime, you don't have much in terms of tropical activity going on in the Gulf of Mexico. You have an upper air low sitting in the central Gulf, so that's going to be a factor against development, hostile wind environment. And the upper low that's in the Atlantic that might cause problems in terms of producing hostile conditions. That has is far enough to the north, so I don't think that the wind shear is going to be a huge deal with regards to these waves to the south. So we're just going to have to watch how it plays out. And of course, how it plays out is very complicated, being that you've got these three waves running around. So let me give you a view of the tropical Atlantic, and we're going to I'm going to use the same maps for each model, so we get some sense of continuity. And let me go through this. And one of the problems is, because we have these three systems running around, that it's hard to know which ones the models are keying on better than the others. I mean, you could see here on the 48-hour forecast that we have for Thursday, all three of them are identifiable and have circulations around them. A broad one south of the the Cabo Verde Islands. The other two look a little bit more developed on the surface map. And what the GFS does, it takes one in the Caribbean, it takes the second one eventually toward to the northeast, and the third one right behind it, kind of loses that second one, and then it starts to develop the third one as it tracks it to the northwest, and then turns it north, and then eventually to the northeast, because of what the model wants to show happening along the east coast. I would really rate today's runs at all levels and how you look at them as highly suspect. There's just too much happening with these three systems together that it's hard to know whether the models are correctly handling any one or all of them. We'll look at the Canadian, and the Canadian has, actually the Canadian really, here's your first lead system here late tomorrow. Here's your second, here's your third, loses the first, holds the second one together. The third one is behind it. It kind of develops both the second and the third system, taking the second one into the Bahamas and the third one tracking right behind it. That's the Canadians' idea. Now we have the Europeans' idea, which is going to be completely different, because it can't be simple that they all be the same. So we have wave 1, wave 2, and emerging wave 3. And wave 1 into the Eastern Caribbean. Wave 2, I'm trying to see which one. It looks like it loses wave 2. Wave 3 develops. So on the European, you've got 1 and 3. 1 goes into straight west into Central America, and wave 3 moves northwest and northeast of 60 degrees west and stays out to sea. So which is it? Well, here's the deal, folks. And I said this yesterday. The real focus should be, again, on the upper air pattern, and whether any weaknesses develop with the upper high that extends out into the Atlantic. It's very narrow. It's narrow, but it is a dominant feature. The jet stream to the north blowing across the United States. So this would, certainly suggest a westward component of motion for tropical systems, at least for a while. And then on the European, you do see there's a bit of a weakness here in the middle part of the Atlantic, in response probably to this upper low that's sitting east of Newfoundland. And then once that pulls out, the weakness closes, and you still have these holes, and what we really don't know whether those are real or not. And then another trough on the European in the east will cause this system to recurve up and out, if that's correct, but we don't know whether it is. Here's the European at day 10, for example, and I'll jump to the GFS. There's some similarities, but there's some large-scale differences. They both have a strong ridge north and east of the Azores. The European has a trough that extends down from eastern Canada to off the New Jersey coast down to about Virginia. The GFS, on the other hand, is flatter there, but it still has a fairly active jet that's going from west to east across the northern part, the Northeast, and the Great Lakes. There's just too much here to come to any conclusion whatsoever. I think the best thing to do at this point is just basically monitor these things as they develop from day to day, and that's really about it. We're just going to have to see how this all gets handled over time. And let me go back to the United States. And by the way, I'll again, I want to reinforce the fact that focusing on these models with regards to individual tracks deep into the long range is a waste of time. So I really wouldn't, why even bother? You know, each run's going to be different. So here's the basic weather pattern across the United States. We've got another warm front, cold front coming into the east for Thursday night and Friday with some showers and storms. That front clears out on Saturday. Looks like a weak disturbance that moves across for Sunday, but I'm thinking Monday is dry. Here's Monday afternoon, so the west is for the most part in its typical late summer mode or mid-August mode, and then we have some showers in the western Great Lakes, some showers in the southeast. So let's just forget the showers and just kind of focus on the fact of where there might be clouds. And you kind of think there'll be clouds here. You certainly might think that there'll be some cloud cover in this area. Maybe we'll get some luck here in the Northeast. It's a question in terms of you're not going to have cloud-free conditions, but you certainly should have the sky clear enough so that your dice rolling. And in the West is probably the best chances for clear skies, especially away from coastal locations. And then going forward after that, another front into the east comes into play, and then that pulls out, and you go back to another one of these warm front, cold front combinations. And actually, the model wants to develop some sort of onshore flow as we go into day 11 and 12. Who knows? So you know what? We're just going to leave it here at this. It's getting frustrating now to just sort of see these things on day to day and not seeing a whole lot of continuity. And of course, with multiple tropical systems running around, it makes the forecast that much more difficult. It goes hand in hand with having an active tropics. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here, and we're going to switch over to a chat. If you're watching on YouTube, just to let you know, toward the end, you may see a button come up that may allow you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If it does come up and you want to subscribe, by all means, it's absolutely free, doesn't cost you a dime, and you get notifications when new videos come on. If you're watching from Facebook, just stand by and we will be switching over right now. Okay, we're going to start off with the latest on the solar eclipse, which we know is on this coming Monday, August 21st, in the early to middle part of the afternoon in the east, and of course, depending on your time. Okay, folks, here I am. Kind of slow on the uptake right now because I'm really tired, so I apologize for the little technical glitch there at the end. So, in summary, you can see what we're dealing with here. Okay, folks, here I am. Kind of slow on the uptake right now because I'm really tired, so I apologize for the little technical glitch there at the end. So, in summary, you can see what we're dealing with. Okay. Maybe I should shut all my audio off, which I just did. Okay, I muted it. I have to hit the mute button. All right, so again, sorry for the second technical glitch. All right, but you can see what we're dealing with here with respect to all the models, how, with all these weather systems running around, and, each model has the whole idea of the ridge in the Atlantic about the same, but they all have different weaknesses in different places. Some models develop certain, one of these, any one or all three of these tropical waves. One, takes it to the west. And by the way, I was looking at, I was taking a look at the a model track guidance for the two tropical waves that are out there, which is 91L and 92L, I believe. 91L is the lead one, 92 is the one behind it. Most of the track model guidance takes 91L straight to the west. The other one takes it straight, pretty much west-northwest, north of the islands. You've got intensity variations on the lead system, anywhere from never developing at all to a Category 3 or a Category 4 hurricane. Okay, really. And then the same with the one going to the north of the islands. It has anything from not developing at all to a Category 1. And how do you forecast when you have variations like this, which basically run from one end of the extreme to the other? And you can't. Now, that's not the way to do it. We're going to do it the practical way, which is going to be, we're going to watch these waves as they come out on the satellites, on the loops overnight and during the day tomorrow. We'll try to gain some clues as to what's going on in the overall atmosphere. We'll see which ones develop and which ones don't. And it's quite possible that all three of them could wind up not developing. I tend to think that at least one of them will. The conditions are at least conducive enough for at least one of these systems to go. I'm not. If I had to guess at this moment, I probably would say the second one. The first one's going to go. If it goes straight west, it's going to go into the Caribbean. There is an identity with that system moving into Central America, so maybe that one will be the one that develops. I don't know. So we're just going to have to see how it goes. Okay, Raymond, you're following a line of storms in upstate New York that's dropping southward, and I can tell you that line is going to die out in the next 2 or 3 hours. It's certainly not going to make it back to me. And Rich Rothmansky, yes, we need the LFM back. Well, that takes you way back. You're almost done. Are you as old as I am? I can't see from your picture. For those of you who don't know, the LFM is one of the original models. It's called limited fine mesh, or we used to call it limited fine mess. And it was exciting to have something that actually went out 48 hours into the future. Okay, let alone now that we go out to 384 hours, plus there's models that go out 45 days. Who knows? But yeah, those were the old days. And you know what was good about that? What was good about that was that it really didn't handle tropical systems at all. So you had to forecast with your basics, and that was, I think, far better in a lot of ways than what we have now, which is to have all these models doing all these different things, and they don't tell you anything except create confusion. So we basically become instead of being proactive in so many ways, we are preactive, where we just we don't even look anymore at what's happening on the satellite. We look at a model first, which is insane, but that's what it's become, and it's unfortunate because it doesn't allow a lot of young forecasters to develop their forecasting tools. Instead, they become model watchers, and I try to shy away from that. It's hard a lot of the time to do that because the models do give you a picture now in places where you normally can't see, and they are better than they used to be in some respects, not all. But you don't want to have that skill set of being able to forecast off the seat of your pants. And if you don't have these models in front of you, it's a much different way of looking at the weather. And Rich is so you're younger than me, Rich, by 8 years. So you're 50, and it's cool that you remembered that. I haven't heard that mentioned in a while. Boston clear skies for Eclipse, or Mike cold front slow down. Delvin, I haven't really given it a big look in terms of Monday. It looks like that the front will be out and you should be okay, especially near coastal areas. But let's see what happens over the next 2 days with the short range, because that's been kind of in flux as well. Even the 48-hour NGM was okay at times back then. Yeah, they all had their moments. The 18Z GFS is out to 1,892 hours. He's to 86, 186. All right, let me take a look. Hang on. Okay, pulling it up. Let's see what we got. Loading. And I see at 150, there's a low east of the Bahamas that it kind of takes over Florida. There's certainly a kick in the isobar, and then it's got a Category 3 hurricane right behind it. All right, so let's see where that comes from. You can see how nonchalant I have gotten about all this stuff. So the late afternoon GFS, for what it's worth, relapse. Okay, so we got one system in the Caribbean. The second system goes north of the islands, the third one right behind it. I can follow the identity of that one. The first one just kind of goes into Central America and weakens. The third one on the GFS is Category 3 hurricane approaching Turks and Caicos from the southeast on day 8, the end of day 8. And there's a cold front moving through in the eastern part of the United States. So let's see what the upper air looks like. Again, this is all just incredible fantasy. If you know, we'll see. Well, you know, there's a deep trough approaching the eastern part of the United States in 8 days, if you want to believe it. But that trough, you know, if I'm looking at this, is not going to be dropping down, you know, west of 80. It's just going to be swinging around in eastern Canada. So it could be another one of these things. If it picks it up, it'll turn it up and out. I don't know. You know, too much variation there, but you know, this is another possibility, and among a sea of possibilities. Let's see. The GFDL is now defunct. Yes, it is. They just killed it, I believe. So we have one less model to look at. And then they got something else that they're running a parallel for, or were running a parallel for. Maybe it was a parallel HWRF because they upgraded it. You know, they keep upgrading these models. They don't seem to be getting any better. Are you going to post? Marcus wants to know. I'm sorry, it's Marquise. Marquise Vincent, are you going to post forecast videos on August 21st? Are you going to cover the eclipse for the news station? I am working that day, so I don't think I will be able to do anything during the day because of time. So that's on Monday. Time may prevent me from doing anything on Monday. I may have to go into work early. I don't know yet. But as soon as I know what my schedule is, I'll let you know. Delvin, check the ridge and wind shear for the 3 tropical systems. Okay, I'm going to Delvin. I'm just like losing it now. I'm getting very tired, so I'm going to check it a little later after I catch a break. I got a long drive ahead of me now at this point. Okay, so let's call it a day, folks. It's been great as always. We will be back tomorrow. I think we'll have a live stream tomorrow. I'm going to shoot for 11:30 Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We will live stream, and this will be the live stream for today. I'm not doing another one tonight. I don't care what happens. So we will see you tomorrow, 11:30 Eastern Time. And just check on the live stream page. It tells you what time I'm scheduling these live streams so you can see what time they come up. And this way you have an idea. If it winds up changing, that's where you'll be able to find out. I've been trying to be really good about putting up the time as soon as I have a good idea when it's going to be. But let's shoot for 11:30 Eastern Time. Have a great evening and be safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.